Every year, without fail, someone in your life will say it. It's just another day. Their birthday comes around, people send messages, someone tries to make plans, and they just shrug it off. Maybe even seem annoyed by the fuss. Meanwhile, someone else is counting down the days, planning their birthday week, and needs the whole world to stop and acknowledge the miracle of their existence. So what's actually going on inside the mind of someone who genuinely doesn't care about their birthday? Is it healthy detachment, quiet confidence, or is there something deeper hiding underneath that casual indifference? Today, we're going to find out. Let's start by getting something clear. People who treat their birthday like a normal day are not all the same. That behavior can come from very different psychological places, and it's important we don't lump them all together. For some people, it genuinely is a sign of groundedness. Psychologists call this ego depletion resistance. Essentially, their sense of self doesn't require external validation to feel stable. They already know who they are. They don't need a cake and a room full of people singing to confirm it. These people tend to score high in something called self-concept clarity, a consistent, well-defined sense of who they are that doesn't fluctuate based on social rituals or attention. But here's where it gets more complex. For other people, that "it's just a day" attitude isn't confidence, it's armor. Some people learned, often in childhood, not to expect much from their birthday. Maybe celebrations were inconsistent, maybe they were let down too many times, and the brain, being the brilliant survival machine that it is, decided, if I don't expect anything, I can't be disappointed. Same behavior on the outside, completely different story on the inside. This is where attachment theory becomes really useful. People with avoidant attachment, those who learned to suppress their emotional needs early in life, often feel deeply uncomfortable being the center of attention. Not because they're humble, but because needing something from other people feels unsafe to them. Birthdays are essentially a socially sanctioned moment to need things: attention, celebration, love, acknowledgement. For someone with avoidant tendencies, that's terrifying. It's easier to dismiss the whole thing than to risk vulnerability. Studies show that avoidantly attached individuals are less likely to organize celebrations for themselves, less likely to accept help, and more likely to downplay milestones, not just birthdays, but achievements, anniversaries, even grief. It's not that they don't feel things, it's that they've become expert at not showing that they feel things. And over time, that pattern can become identity. They start to believe they don't care. They tell themselves and others, "I'm just not into birthdays." And after enough repetition, it stops feeling like a defense mechanism. It just feels like a personality trait. We also can't ignore the environment people grew up in. In many cultures and families, birthdays are simply not a big deal. Some families are practical by nature. They don't do elaborate celebrations for anyone. Some cultures prioritize community over individual milestones. If you grew up in a household where birthdays were low-key, a simple dinner at most, it makes complete sense that you'd carry that forward. There's also generational conditioning. Older generations often grew up with the message that drawing attention to yourself is selfish, even embarrassing. The idea of demanding a birthday celebration would feel almost indulgent to someone raised with those values. And for some people, especially those who have experienced loss, losing a loved one close to their birthday or facing a hard season of life, the day carries grief alongside it. Treating it like a normal day becomes an act of emotional self-preservation. It's not avoidance, it's just survival. Here's a fascinating psychological type that often falls into this category: the internally motivated high achiever. These individuals tend to be driven by intrinsic goals rather than external milestones. Their sense of progress is internal, continuous, not marked by dates on a calendar. For them, a birthday is arbitrary. What matters is what you're doing, not when you were born. These people often find social rituals mildly performative. They're not cynical, they just don't need the symbolic moment to feel the feeling. They experience gratitude, reflection, and meaning in quieter, more private ways. Interestingly, research on flow states, that experience of being fully absorbed in meaningful work, shows that people who experience flow regularly tend to have less psychological need for external celebrations. The richness is already happening inside. So what does it really mean when someone brushes off their birthday? The honest answer is, it depends entirely on why. If it comes from a place of security, I know my worth, I don't need external validation, that's genuinely healthy. These people can still enjoy being celebrated if others initiate, but they don't suffer in its absence. If it comes from a place of learned smallness, I was taught not to take up space, not to need, not to ask, then that's something worth looking at more closely, not with judgment, but with curiosity. The tell is often in how they respond when others try to celebrate them. Do they accept it warmly even if they didn't ask for it? Or do they deflect, minimize, change the subject, and seem almost irritated by the care being offered? The deflection is where the psychology lives. Ultimately, how someone relates to their birthday is a small window into something much larger, how they relate to being seen. And that's worth understanding, both in the people around us and in ourselves. If you're someone who says, it's just another day, ask yourself honestly, is that freedom or is it protection? Because there's a real difference between not needing a celebration and not believing you deserve one. And you deserve to know which one it is. If this made you think of someone or made you think of yourself, share it. And if you want more content on the hidden psychology behind everyday behavior, subscribe. New video every week.